Welcome to Step 6 for partners of sex addicts. And I really hope that you've been watching Steps 1 through 5, getting some really helpful ideas about your own personal recovery, your own journey. Again, I validate that you didn't cause this, but it did damage you and hurt you. So I really appreciate the courage it takes for you to do these steps. So if you have yet to subscribe, please do so you can get the rest of the steps notified as they come out. And also, if you have a question, please just put it in your box. And we'll be happy to respond to that as soon as possible. So do that, and we'll be right back. Step 6. Now, Step 6, we're halfway through the 12 steps. Okay, we've done a lot already. We've been powerless over our spouse's sex addiction. Okay, we acknowledge that that's created unmanageability. We've found a higher power. We turned our life over to God. We've done our inventory. We told God, another person, our story. And yet there's still more work to do? Absolutely. The steps are a healing process. And as you do each one, after you do that one, it returns a gift to you. And it's so important that you receive these gifts. It's so important that you go through this process. As a partner of a sex addict, you've been hurt and wounded and betrayed, and so much trust has been broken that if that stays that way, it can hurt you for the rest of your life. In our book, Partner Betrayal Trauma, I have a whole chapter on trauma reset. And you don't want to be that person who gets stuck in that. And the steps can help you. Now, Step 6, let me read it to you, and then let's spend some time parsing it and walking through it. Step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Now, I want to spend a moment on entirely. We're entirely ready. Entirely ready is not, I think I'm a little... Maybe I gossip, maybe I'm slightly dishonest. It's not a minimizing. And it's not like, God, I'm impatient, but if you could just take a little bit of that away, I think, it's kind of human to be somewhat impatient, And so, just a little bit to make my life easier. No, that is not what entirely is. Entirely is, I am all in. Whatever the process, whatever it takes, I am all in to get rid of these things. Now, let me give you a comparative story. Let's suppose you're a woman or a man, okay, because you can be a partner either way, and you are in incredible pain. And you find out when you go to the doctor, go to the hospital, that you have a very rare disease, that they give you 6 weeks to live, and the pain in your life is going to increase every day. Your bones are going to hurt, your muscles are going to hurt, your temperature is going to go up, and there's nothing that we can do to bring it down. You're going to get less and less control of your body, and you're going to die miserably. Now, at that point, you get entirely ready. When that doctor walks in and says to you, ma'am or sir, I have a permanent cure for your situation. I know exactly what needs to happen. I know what I need you to do to make it happen. Are you willing to end the suffering in your life and all the pain this is causing in your friends' and family's lives? Are you willing, entirely ready to go through whatever the medical process is? How much participation you need to do, how much we need to do. Are you in? That's entirely ready. You're at the end. You need to be all in. Now, all of us have character defects, and I know that as a partner, you didn't sign up for this whole recovery thing. It was kind of thrusted on you because of the damage that your spouse brought into your life. However, if you can understand that this recovery process is a gift to you, regardless of how it entered into your life, you can embrace these steps fully. And you can be entirely ready, because no matter how old you are, no matter where you grew up in the world, humans are humans. Humans have had defects from the beginning. We're flawed, all of us. We've all made mistakes. We all have idiosyncrasies that are painful for others. Some of us hoard, some of us are greedy, some of us are selfish, some of us are unloving, some of us are unaffectionate, some of us don't initiate towards our spouse, our loved ones. We make them do all the work in the relationship. Some of us are cruel, some of us are just unkind, some of us are arrogant, some of us don't know how to tell the truth when it's even helpful to tell the truth. Now I know humans are fantastic. If they weren't, I wouldn't work with them. That's all I do. For the last 35 years, I love human beings. I love working with flawed people. I love seeing them heal and get well. Okay, I'm not down on humanity. If I was, I'd probably do some other kind of work. I love humanity. But all of us, including Dr. Doug, have flaws and weaknesses. I've done my step 6. I remember I was sitting in a hotel room in New Mexico. I was doing conferences very early in my recovery. But even back then, I was doing conferences on recovery. And I sat in my room and I said, that's where I was going to do my step 6. That I was going to sit down, and I really encourage you to do some process like this and write down your step, write down your character defects. Okay? Make a list. I remember writing one after another, and it just seemed like the pen just kept moving. I'm like, wow, you're really not as wonderful as you think. These are some pretty hard things to look at. And that was a way for me to prepare myself to be entirely ready. Now, entirely ready to have God remove all these defects. Now, there's a couple things here. One, this is a God process. Okay, God can remove them. I can't remove some of these things. I can work on, and I'm totally okay if you set up accountability, set up consequences, set up structures, read books. I'm all okay with you being involved in the process and giving something to work with there. That's fantastic. However, at the end of the day, God himself gets involved, and he touches our heart, and he creates a circumstance that helps us see dark spots, and we can heal from them. But he's on an agenda. See, what we're doing is saying, we're ready, God. I'm willing. I'm going to put myself in the surgery room. I'm going to open up this pussy heart that I have. I'm going to let you and your light and your wisdom and your person move in, and however you remove it, please remove it. I can't do this anymore, God. Can't keep hurting myself, can't keep limiting myself. I can't keep hurting those around me that I really truly love. So we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Now, I've been in recovery for over 35 years. Now, God's not going to take all of them at one time and you become perfect. I wish that was the case. It'd be so much easier to live with some of you if he would just do that, right? But God, once you put yourself on the table and say, I'm ready, he will then, like a true surgeon, prioritize what are pimples, what are cancers, what's going to kill this person, what can I put off while I take this out? And there'll be a process that he'll create. Now, the important thing about this being a God process is you have to be close to God to stay in the process. As wonderful as someone might be in your life, if you have a splinter in your finger, but they're halfway across the room, they can't pull that thing out of your finger. They want to help you. They love you. They don't want you to be in pain. But I really encourage people in step 6 to get close to God, to hear his voice, to ponder, to read spiritual material, to feed yourself spiritual things, to pray relationally, not mechanically. And say, God, I need you today to help me today to see what I need to see, to do what I need to do, to be about what I need to be about. Okay? But God will put them in order. He will organize the process. And there are some things I never saw coming. Never saw coming. I'll never forget, I was sitting in a psychiatric hospital. I was working in my master's program, minding my own business. Now, I had a habit back then. Rarely was I without peanut M&Ms. They were always in my backpack. Because in case I missed a meal, I needed a snack. I love peanuts, chocolate. I love peanut M&Ms are the perfect food. I really hope there's some of those in heaven. And if not, I want to be the person who maybe makes that happen. But anyway, these things were happening, and I was sitting there really comfortably, minding my own business. And I had a book given to me on sugar. And it had to do with sugar and addiction. This was really, primitive thinking back then. This was in the early 90s, maybe even late 80s. And it made me realize I had an addiction to sugar. And right there and right then, God dealt with me. And from that day, I was clean for 10 years. I did a little bit of sugar for a while because I thought I was over it. I was clean for another 10 years. I've been clean for another 10 years. Okay? And so it really changed me. And I wasn't asking for that. I wasn't saying, God, I need to get rid of sugar. I didn't have any clue that sugar was a problem. But He knew sugar was a problem. It affected my mood, affected my health. It was a problem. And He took the right time to come in and say, hey, it's time. So expect God to talk to you about these things. These are defects of character. These are things that deeply lodge in our hearts that sometimes we learn in our family, sometimes we brought on ourselves, and sometimes they're just things that we are just our own personalities. We come kind of, maybe your defect is you're defensive. I know some defects are you can't acknowledge you have a defect. And I can tell you that's one of the worst defects to have. Because if you can't acknowledge you have defects, or you can't be human, that's a big defect. So if that's you, put that at the top of your list. Can't see my own defects, and then help get other people to give you some feedback. But we all have them. And being human is okay. Being dishonest is probably not helpful. But as you walk through step 6, look at your character defects and really ask God. I mean, don't ask, beg. God, I need you to take this character defect out of me that's hurting me and those I love. Now, as you do step 6, especially if you're working through your workbook, there's a lot of practical questions and things to do that. I strongly recommend, if you don't have the Partners Recovery Guide, please, you're at step 6. If you're just listening to these, you're not working the steps. Listening to me is not doing the work. There's a workbook, you do that, you present it to your group, they give you some feedback, that's doing the step. So please do that. If you haven't yet to subscribe, please subscribe. We have many videos for you to be able to enhance your recovery or marriage or life. And if you have a question, please put it there. We'll get to you as soon as we can. I want to strongly encourage you, stay on the journey of recovery for the many more gifts ahead of you.